Hey everyone, welcome back to Remnant from Hell. Today we'll be discussing several topics. First, I'll be covering every trinket added in with the mod. Then we'll take a look at both the new versions of the Alternator. And finally, we'll discuss a way to farm dark slivers. That's right, I said slivers. I'm embarrassed to admit I've been pronouncing it as silvers this entire time. There are 15 new trinkets in total, a combination of 8 amulets and 7 rings. First up is Cryogen Blast. This necklace functions very similarly to Vulcan's Detonator. Whereas Vulcan's enables fire dots to be applied with explosions, this one applies a unique status effect. Hypothermia is like burning but with frost damage. The damage of said dots vary depending on the source, just like with Vulcan's. Although the status only stacks once, it can be refreshed. With select sources like Pride of the Iskall or Hive Shot, it can be very effective at freezing groups of enemies. Overall, a very nice amulet that can compete with Vulcan's in explosive builds. Next up is Frenetic Shard. This necklace grants you consumable use speed, as well as granting a bonus to crit chance and crit damage when you consume a Dragon Heart for 10 seconds. There are lots of use cases with this trinket. I chose to run it with a Dragon Heart conservation build and a crit setup, and both performed well. Interestingly enough, you could choose to run it with the Warlord set. The bonus does get applied, however it still only lasts 10 seconds. Overall, the trinket provides a very good option for speed killing. Coming up, we have Locket of The Empress. This necklace rewards your melee charge attacks with a stackable elemental damage resistance. Totaling up to 45 total resistance, this makes you insanely tanky if not nearly immune to almost every form of elemental damage. This trinket single-handedly makes fights like Gorefist an absolute cakewalk, even on Hell difficulty. With this setup here, you can just face tank him with no issue whatsoever. Just pop a tonic and an essence beforehand and you're golden. There are other applications for this too, like Onslaught or Stormcaller. If there is a fight that features a prominent elemental damage type, this amulet makes melee tank builds extremely viable. Riposte Relic is one I showed off a little bit in my previous armor video. It boosts your evade speed by 20% and rewards you for perfect dodging with a total damage and melee speed buff, both of which are by 30%. Now it might not seem appealing because the buff only lasts 2 seconds. However, the necklace encourages you to evade more often with the faster speed. This works amazingly with the newly buffed Akari set, as when paired you can dodge 50% faster. More dodges means more uptime for the buff. Even if you don't plan on using melee, the damage boost it gives is a total damage boost, so you can run mods or guns if you'd like. If you felt spicy enough, you could replace Scaleneck Charm in a mod spam setup with it. A very welcome addition to perfect dodge setups. The Rough Rider's Kerchief is an interesting slot filler. It increases your range damage and reduces your encumbrance at the cost of your fire rate and weapon sway. Ideally, this sounds like it'd be best suited with single-shot weapons like the Sniper Rifle, Spore Bloom, or Hunting Pistol. However, you can still run it with many other builds and be just fine. The reduced encumbrance allows many sets to go from a medium to a light roll. Both the Slayer and Osseous sets drop to a light roll when equipped. The rate of fire loss isn't that bad, just pop a Frenzy Dust and you'll be all set. As far as the weapon sway goes, it's only going to make a difference at longer distances. Close range encounters won't be impacted by it. The only weapon that has immediate weapon sway in the first place is the Sniper Rifle, with the Hunting Pistol and Sawed-Off almost tying with it. Not to mention weapon sway is only in effect when you're not firing, making it only an issue primarily for single-shot weapons. Other than that, it is a solid damage utility hybrid amulet. Next up we have Spinal Tap, a better version of the old Shattered Vertebrae. It rewards your stacked critical chance with bonus critical damage. You gain a 10% bonus crit chance, and every time you crit, your crit chance goes down, but your crit damage goes up. And when you eventually non-crit, your crit chance resets. Because of this, it is best run in a full crit setup. The numbers you can reach are quite high. With the Beam Rifle, I am able to deal ludicrous DPS when the stacks build up. With enough practice, you could easily pass the damage check in Exil's fight. You could use it in a turret crit build to get really high numbers with something like the Sniper Rifle. Since the Necklace's stacks are only applied by ranged weapons, they could keep up your stacks of momentum. A very powerful crit choice for the Necklace slot. Coming up we have Traitor's Necklet, a necklace that can come in clutch when you're at low health. The lower your health, the greater chance at retaining your Dragon Heart uses, and at a faster speed as well. This is the ultimate War of Attrition necklace. Most of the time on higher difficulties, you'll be left at either half or less when being hit. This works exceedingly well with healer setups using the Elder set. Normally, you'd have to get to 20% of your health to guarantee a free Dragon Heart with the necklace, but the Elder's one-piece passive grants a 25% chance to not consume a Dragon Heart. Since all sources of not consuming a Dragon Heart are additive, this means you can heal safely at 40% health and still get a free use. If you ever struggled in a fight and said, "If only I had more Dragon Hearts I could win this fight," this is the necklace for you. You can also run this in a Letos setup. As your damage reduction is usually enough to safely take hits at lower health values, this is definitely one of the best defensive picks for the slot now. Lastly on the Necklace list is Velocity Core. This amulet gives you an absolutely absurd boost to fire rate and reload speed, plus a little extra range damage for standing still, as well as double recoil. The buff lasts 2.5 seconds, but the boost it grants is well worth it. You do have to stand completely still while under its effects, otherwise it'll end early. Once it does end, you'll have to move an inch and stop again. Watch how fast I'm able to bring the end to his knees on hell difficulty. The bonus reload speed even allows weapons like Twin Shot to have insane damage output. An absolutely amazing DPS necklace choice. Moving on to the rings, we have Burden of the Lucid Dreamer. This ring disables your ability to critically hit, although it averages your critical hit chance and crit damage into a total damage boost. The ring is incredibly interesting, and as I was writing the script, I decided I want to make a video dedicated entirely to it. There's a lot more I'd like to say, but it'll have to wait for the video. Give the ring a shot and experiment. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Next up is Charred Circlet. While not purchasable, it is awarded to players who get the new alternate kill on Singe. This ring is a fire variant of Razorstone. The damage applied is equivalent to that of Smolder's mod. Just like the two of them, the damage generates mod power. Now you can apply 4 debuffs to an enemy with a single charge attack. Not to mention that the damage scales incredibly well with the buffed charcoal necklace. Moving on, we have Disturbed Tear. This nifty little ring gives some purpose to radiation damage. It allows all sources of radiation damage to apply the new Sickness status effect. This effect stacks 5 times and can lower enemy damage by 15%. Since it can be applied by any source of radiation damage, it is relatively easy to utilize. 15% makes a huge difference, especially on hell difficulty. Watch the difference between taking the strongest hit from a Berserker with and without the reduction. If you use sources of radiation and find yourself wanting to take less damage, this is a nice pick. Moving on, we have Outlaw Sigil. This trinket increases your reload speed after reloading. It stacks up to 3 times, so you'll be getting 30% bonus reload speed from this bad boy. The ring works amazingly on slower reload weapons like the Devastator. Combined with other reload sources like the Slayer bonus or the updated Gunslinger's Ring, you can reload wicked fast. Since the effect stays for 12 seconds, many weapons can get value out of it. A basic but very effective addition to the ring collection. Coming up, we have Parry Pearl. I showed this ring off a little bit in the armor video. Basically, it creates a small blast that can stagger when you perfect dodge. Although it's not listed, it does deal some damage. It is a flat 150 and is unable to crit. Most of the time, the blast won't be getting any kills. However, if you manage to perfect dodge a projectile, the blast procs multiple times in quick succession. Imagine the 150 blast but happening like 10 times. It's pretty funny when it happens. A nice ring, although I'm unsure if it has any use inside of boss fights, but we'll see. Next up is Spirit Conduit. This ring grants bonus mod and summon duration, as well as an increased duration of status effects. It can be a nice addition to dot builds, summon setups, or cultist set builds. With the cultist set, this makes mods like Howler's Aura or Song of Swords last over 70 seconds. You could even run it with a Razorwire Bloodletter setup to have a powerful long-lasting bleed leech. Overall, a very nice option for mod and dot builds now. Finally, we have Vyxworm Heart. Dealing at least 75% of your magazine's base damage before reloading will grant you a 4-second buff to not consume a Dragonheart. As mentioned previously, this stacks additively with all other sources, such as the Elder's Passive, Volatile Gem, or Traitor's Necklet. Much like Grim Coil, it's very easy to activate with weapons that have low magazine sizes. Since it is a 35% chance, it's very easy to have overlap when running with Traitor's Necklet. The way I see it, if you plan on running the Elder set, use one or the other. Take a look at this setup. It's overkill in the chance to not consume a Dragonheart. Elders, Volatile Gem, and Vyxworm allow you to reach a 75% chance. Meanwhile, swapping out for Traitors allows you to get a guaranteed free Dragonheart when you're at least at 40% health, which is very easy to achieve on hell difficulty. If you plan on getting hit a lot, run Traitors. If you want to run a damage boosting necklace like Frenetic Shard, run Vyxworm. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are 2 new variants of the Alternator available for purchase at Macabre's shop. Both versions of the weapon feature stronger mods than the default Incinerator. Because of this, they are not able to apply Frostbite with the basic shots. I will quickly go over both versions of the weapon as this video is already pretty long. First, the Burninator Alternator. This is pretty much a long-range rocket launcher variant of the weapon. It fires 3 fireballs in a straight line that have a small blast radius. It deals some decent single target damage and even leaves a little ring of fire on the ground. Because it travels in a straight line with no fall off, you can technically snipe long distances with it. It does only have 2 charges, although the potential damage more than makes up for it. Next up is the Dragon's Breath Alternator. This version is a force to be reckoned with. This turns the mod into a fire shotgun. By default it holds 4 charges, which when combined with Evoker's Seal and Burden of the Follower can be turned to 7 charges. This mod absolutely shreds through hell difficulty bosses with a mod spam setup. It's so good I thought I was playing Apocalypse for a bit. This is hands down my favorite version of the weapon. I'll definitely be including it in my upcoming builds video. That's it for both alternate alternators. Last but not least, how do we go about farming Dark Slivers easily? Well, what we need is some time and a little bit of luck. The strategy that I used was rolling adventures until I got one with a roaming boss next to a world stone. You can technically do this with any roaming boss, but some are easier to farm than others. On Earth, the easiest to farm would be Vale, Shroud's roaming counterpart. Just roll some adventures until you're able to find him close to either at the spawn or the checkpoint world stone. You may even be lucky and not need to enter a dungeon to get said checkpoint. There will more than likely be some resistance by other enemies, so I recommend using a sniper swap combo build to do the job, but you can use whatever you want. There are 8 necklaces, 6 rings, and 2 alternators that need Dark Slivers to purchase. Necklaces cost 20, rings 12, and the alternators cost 30 each. This totals up to 292 Dark Slivers needed to purchase everything. Now, depending on which difficulty you play on, you'll receive 2 to 4 slivers per kill, 2 on Hard and Nightmare, 3 on Apocalypse, and 4 on Hell. For this reason, I recommend playing on Hell difficulty, but play whichever one you feel is right for you. Well, except Nightmare. There's really no point when Hard gives the exact amount of slivers for an easier time. 292 slivers comes to 73 kills on Hell, 98 on Apocalypse, and 146 kills on Hard or Nightmare. Obviously Hard is a lot easier, so you could try speed killing on that difficulty if you wanted. And that covers everything I had planned. Initially I wanted to split the video into 3, but figured this way I can get to the other topics faster. Next week I'll be covering the last of the original topics from the polls, the changes and balances to the rest of the trinkets. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.